guys! Tonight's story starts the way so many do, with good intentions, bad timing, and one poorly locked phone screen. So grab a blanket, dim your lights, and settle in. We're going to drift through a story about a woman named Emma Harris, who just wanted to surprise her husband for their anniversary, and instead found a surprise of her own. Nothing explosive, nothing wild, just the quiet, familiar heartbreak of realizing someone's been lying to you while smiling at dinner. Because of course he was. Emma Harris was the kind of person people described as steady. Not glamorous, not messy, just put together. She worked as a speech therapist, the kind who helped people find their voice again, which is poetic when you think about what she'd lose later. Her husband, Daniel, was a financial type. You know the kind, always just one more meeting, always working late for the firm. He worked at a place called Corwood Financial, which already sounds like the setting for a corporate scandal. Anyway, it was their 8th wedding anniversary. Emma had gone out of her way to get tickets to Daniel's favourite band. She even left work early, thinking, for once, I'll be spontaneous. The idea was simple. Surprise him, go to dinner, remind themselves they were still the couple who used to laugh over cheap sushi when they were broke. Except, when she walked into their apartment, Daniel wasn't there. His jacket was on the back of a chair, his laptop open, his phone face up on the counter, charging. Nothing suspicious at first. Then the phone buzzed. A little preview on the screen, a name she didn't recognize, Lillian. And beneath that, a message that was not exactly work appropriate. You know that feeling when your stomach drops before your brain even finishes processing? Yeah, that. Emma froze. She didn't even pick up the phone right away. She just stared at it. Then another message came in. Something about missing last night and can't stop thinking about it. Which, just to be clear, are not phrases your co-workers typically use, unless your office culture is very, very different. Now, Emma wasn't the type to snoop. But when your partner's phone lights up with romance novel language from someone who isn't you, curiosity becomes self-defense. So she opened it. There they were. Weeks, months actually, of messages, late-night chats, complaints about work, inside jokes that felt a little too inside. And then, the line that made her chest feel like glass. I wish I could wake up next to you instead. Classic. He wasn't even original about it. When Daniel finally came home, 2 hours late, still on his Bluetooth headset because of course he was, Emma was sitting on the couch. The tickets were on the table. The phone was beside them, unlocked. He noticed right away. His eyes darted to the phone like it was a grenade. Hey, he said, voice all careful and light. You're home early. Emma looked up at him. Calm, too calm. Yeah, she said, so are you apparently. Or at least part of you. That was all it took. The colour drained from his face like someone had unplugged him. Now, Daniel was not a creative liar. When caught, he defaulted to what most people do. Denial, then deflection, then the emotional equivalent of shrugging. It's not what you think, he said, which, by the way, is almost never true. Emma just raised an eyebrow. You're right. I thought you were having an affair. Apparently, it's just an emotional one. How thoughtful he blinked. It's not physical. Because yes, when you're found out, the best defense is a technicality. The conversation that followed was like watching a slow car roll into a ditch. Daniel tried everything. He insisted it wasn't real, that it was just someone who listened, that he'd been lonely, And then, my personal favourite, he said Emma was overreacting. He actually called her dramatic. Now, here's the thing. When someone tells a speech therapist, someone literally trained to understand tone, language, and emotional cues, that she's being dramatic after discovering infidelity, well, that's the moment the story shifts. Emma didn't yell. She didn't cry. She just went quiet. That's the kind of quiet that makes people nervous because it means the decision has already been made. She stood up, walked to the bedroom, and started packing. Daniel followed, doing the classic panic shuffle, arms open, pleading eyes, that desperate half laugh men do when they realise they've lost control. Wait, Em, come on, you're not serious. You're going to leave over a few texts. She folded a sweater. You didn't seem this concerned when you sent them. He tried the bargaining phase next. Let's talk about this. We can fix it. We can go to counselling. She zipped her bag. You can go wherever you want, Daniel. And then, just as she was heading for the door, he said something that, in hindsight, was the final nail in the coffin. He said, by the end of the week, she'd contacted a lawyer, Janet Kim, a quiet, sharp woman recommended by Rachel's co-worker. Janet didn't waste words. She listened, nodded once, and said, you need documentation, texts, finances, proof, quietly, carefully. So Emma did exactly that. She started building her little digital fortress. Screenshots, credit card statements, and those charming little dinner charges that definitely weren't for one person. And here's where things got poetic. Because while Emma was gathering her evidence, someone else was doing the same, Mark Baker, Lillian's husband. Turns out Mark wasn't oblivious either. He'd noticed the late nights, the secretive smiles, the same story, just flipped. And when he finally saw the proof, probably through the same kind of accidental phone moment, he didn't yell either. He just documented. By the time the universe finally crossed their paths, both Emma and Mark were armed with the truth. Neat, time-stamped, undeniable truth. And while Daniel and Lillian were still telling themselves it was just emotional, Corwood Financial's HR department was quietly reviewing two very concerning reports. Because workplace ethics violations, as it turns out, don't look great on annual reviews. Emma didn't celebrate when she got the call that Daniel had been placed on administrative leave. She didn't gloat or text him an "I told you so." She just closed her laptop, exhaled, and went for a walk. It wasn't victory, it was air. For the first time in months, she could breathe. And that's where we'll pause tonight. Because while Daniel's world was starting to crumble, Emma's was finally rebuilding, quietly, piece by piece. In the next part, we'll drift through how she handled the legal side, the awkward mediation, and the gentle satisfaction of watching Karma fill out HR paperwork. But for now, just breathe. You made it through the first half of the storm.